Network Entertainment.
I feel like yung maganda sa Rappler, parang news organization siya, pero for sure, parang walang politics. Kumbaga, parang hindi siya minsan, di ba may organizations na, kasi close ka sa kay ganyan, so parang you will be promoted, ganyan. Pero sa Rappler kasi sobrang based siya on your performance. Parang if you do a good job covering this major story, mapapansin ka, bigyan ka ng more responsibilities to prove yourself. And then yun na naman, parang bigger and bigger. So they really, I really feel that the mentorship is really merit-based. And diba, as someone who wants to prove themselves, gusto mo sa isang organization na merit-based yung assessment, hindi yung kung kanino ka close or kasi parang, you get along so well with this person. Hindi, dapat based on how well you do your job.
Listen up, yo. Linya Linya Show. Listen up, yo. Linya Linya Show.
Listen up, yo. The Linya Linya Show bumabalik every week. Parang yo-yo sa office, sa condo, sa FX, sa kanto. Walang pinipili, basta Pilipino. Listen up, yo.
Yo, check to the millions and millions of listeners around the world. Welcome to the Linya Linya Show powered by the Pod Network. Ang kasama natin ngayon, isang award-winning investigative journalist at senior reporter sa Rappler. Nakilala sa kanyang fearless political reporting, lalo na nung nag-cover siya ng Duterte presidency nung nakaraang administrasyon. At ngayon, tuloy siya sa truth-seeking at pag-hold ng accountability sa pamahalaan bilang head of community ng Rappler. Welcome to the show, Miss Pia Ranada Robles.
Hello, Ali. Happy to be here.
Uy, hello Pia, kumusta? Kumusta Pia? Anong lagay mo ngayon?
Ang dami nangyayari. Alam mo naman yung news cycle sa Pilipinas, para siyang better than Netflix show. Kasi ang dami mga drama, ang dami mga twists. So ngayon, syempre, yung ginagawa namin leading up to the State of the Nation address, alam natin may posibleng impeachment trial sa Kongreso. And then, of course, yung pinakamalalang possible trial sa ICC, International Criminal Court, laban naman kay Rodrigo Duterte. So all of these things, yung coverage namin sa Prime Water, di ba, mga gut issues, kakatapos ng eleksyon. So ang daming nangyayari, ang daming kailangan i-process. And as a reporter and a journalist, parang this is the time where essentialized kami. Kasi ang daming kailangan ipaliwanag at ang daming kailangan interviewin, kailangan makinig sa mga tao. So, exciting times but also very challenging.
Whew! ang daming ang nangyayari, no? And parang no? Parang walang pahinga, no? After the elections, ang dami agad nangyari. And then parang may nangyayari ngayon, pero may ina-anticipate din kayong mangyayari pa. So, paano yung everyday life ng isang reporter? Parang ang pakiramdam ko kasi parang laging nasa bingit, no? Laging may mangyayari. Pero paano mo nababalance yung nakaka-relax ka pa ba sa state ng pagiging laging may mangyayari?
Yun yung nakakatuwa sa news cycle kasi parang minsan bursts siya of hectic life, pero meron ring times na parang walang nangyayari, parang kasi minsan dead rin yung news cycle, 'di ba? So medyo siya, parang you have to find your rhythm and how do you make the most of the days na medyo relatively quiet. So yun yung times na naghahanap kami ng mga sources, kinakausap namin sila, minsan parang magko-coffee kami with a source na matagal na namin hinahanap, na sana parang kausapin namin siya or bigyan kami ng documents. So, yun yung mga parang pag wala masyado nangyayari, yun yung medyo breathing space. But not even to breathe, but more of to do more digging. Kasi merong sobrang daming kwento na tinatago. Kailangan may extra effort pa na bungkalin yun. So, minsan hindi siya sa headline grabbing, but it's really the digging. Minsan nga, may mahanap kang kababalaghan. Gusto mo na siya i-report talaga, pero kailangan pa ng proof, like documentary evidence. Alam naman natin, journalism is rooted in finding primary sources, the best source possible to prove that this is true. Kailangan mo talagang, parang kailangan may pagdaanan siyang verification process. So yun yung times na hindi pa siya lalabas at gigil na gigil ka na, ang laki ng kwento, pero hindi pa siya pumapasa. So yun yung mix. Parang may days na we're writing, we're like, like we have to write something, submit it, breaking news, ganyan. Naranasan ko na yan yung news cycle na may breaking news, tapos parang pabilisan sa pag-tweet or sa paglabas ng story. At ano na yan, yung news cycle na yun, pwedeng hindi ka matutulog, pwedeng 48 hours ka naka-stake out kasi parang i-release yung isang prisoner, ganyan. So, may mga ganong araw. Pero meron rin mga araw na akala mo quiet, pero actually yun yung time na you're discovering something new and you're also taking the steps to report on that accurately. So, parang ganun yung mix ng araw ng reporter. Parang mix of hectic, mix of, parang discovery. Ano na kaya mahanap ko today? At sino kaya kakausapin ko today? At ano yung document na marireceive ko today from someone or kikilatisin pa, ganun.
Ganun pala siya, no? Parang, so hindi ibig sabihin kapag medyo tahimik nga ang mga balita ay wala rin ginagawa ang mga reporter. Chance siya para mag-investigate at magkubalap ng interviews, data, gano'n, ano, para mag-develop ng balita. Kasi so, parang sinasabi mo rin, Pia, na parang hindi lang kayo basta nagbabalita ng mga balitang nandyan na. Pero parang naghahanap kayo ng mga kwento rin na magiging balita.
Kasi yung mahirap sinusundan mo lang yung sinasabi ng presidente, for instance. Or, alam mo yung parang magpapapress con, si ganyang personality. Tapos, syempre, dahil ang dami napatawag, parang big personality siya, for sure, yung agenda ng lahat ng tao ay i-cover yung press con na yun. Pero iisipin mo rin as a reporter, baka may agenda kung bakit nagkaka-press con ngayon on this topic. At baka distraction siya, or mas may, parang hindi tayo mag-focus dun sa talagang kailangan i-discover or i-reveal, i-unveil. So, medyo balancing act na, syempre you cover the big breaking news. Malaking press con talaga na importante, diba? Pag may bagyo, yung mga command conference ng presidente, pag may malaking emergency, ganyan. Pero syempre, meron rin kasing agenda setting aspect sa trabaho ng journalist na kailangan hindi lang lahat ng sinasabi ng powerful people, yun yung magiging news agenda. Syempre, dapat yung journalist nandun siya para i-remind yung mga tao na, uy, meron pa rin tayong problema sa human rights. Diba? Yun yung topics na minsan tinatabunan kasi mas may malaking balita pa. Pero malaking balita rin human rights, hindi lang siya in a way, some people say hindi siya sexy kasi, yun na naman, patayan, parang sawa ng mga tao. Pero importanteng kwento pa rin siya. So, yun yung trabaho ng journalist na wag makalimot at to continue digging even when hindi siya sexy, hindi siya fashionable, hindi siya parang viral, ganun. We have to fight the viral mindset na kung ano lang yung popular, yun yung i-ride on. Minsan, yung pinaka-importanting story, yun yung quiet stories na yung ini-ignore natin. Kasi we assume na, hindi makikinig yung mga tao, hindi siya importante, hindi siya viral, ganun.
At saka kung ganyan kasi, no, parang nadidikta na rin ng press con kung ano yung mga mapag-uusapan. No? So parang, yun nga, kung tadtarin nila ng kung ano-anong issues, talagang pwedeng matabunan yung mga importante. So, pero ang ganda na sinabi mo nga, yung quiet stories minsan yung may pinaka malakas na na impact, no. So, pero Pia, diretso tayo agad to attack agad tayo. Oo, attack agad. Pero syempre, gusto ko rin na mas makilala ka rin ng listeners natin. Kahit papaano yung background mo. So, pwede mo ba kaming kwentuhan a bit about your background? Saan ka ba pinanganak? Saan ka lumaki? And yun muna.
Sige. Where to start? Born and raised in Metro Manila. Millennial ako, so over 30. So, natatanong. Ano rin ako, young mother. So, meron akong 5-year-old daughter. I'm married, and ano pa ba? Ay, may interesting. Galing ako Ateneo de Manila. So, sa mga taga-Katipunan. Yun yung mga, and I guess what I can say about myself is, siguro my hobbies, like if that can humanize me more. So, mahilig kami mag-rock climb ng asawa ko. So, kasi yung asawa ko, very good rock climber, like national team before, etc. Rin ako mountaineer dati in another life. Loyola Mountaineer sa mga members dyan. Yun yung mga hobbies ko. And what else? Bookworm. Mahilig magbasa, mahilig sa mga stories. At kaya ako naging journalist actually. Kasi yung deep love for stories and yung, I'm convinced na stories will save us Yung stories can change minds and change more than opinion but attitudes and mindsets. And because of that, if you can change someone's mind, diba, you can change the world.
Woo! And ano nga, nakwento sa akin ni Rachel, magkakilala kayo, no? Dahil LM din siya. Loyola Mountaineer din. And sabi niya nga magaling daw na rock climber yung asawa mo, no? So hanggang ngayon ba, nag-ano ka pa? Nag-rock climbing ka pa?
Yun yung sport namin every week. Yun yung bonding namin.
Wow.
Kasi syempre, pag parang gusto mo mag-multitask, parang exercise at ano na rin, date na rin siya. So, may malapit na gym sa office namin sa Rappler. So, once a week, twice a week,
Wall
nag-gym kami, gano'n. Wall climb, boulder, yun.
Boulder. May time ba na ano, habang malapit ka na dun sa taas, may naisip kang balita
Ay,
na kailangan
yung balita ko, ay, mamamatay na ako. Breaking news.
pag ganun ka na, shucks, may ano, kailangan akong isulat na report. Okay, baba mo na ako.
De, pero minsan talaga, kasi when you're climbing, yun yung maganda sa climbing, parang it shuts out everything. And yun yung actually way ko to, nung Duterte administration, rock climbing was my escape. Kasi kung if it's just you against the rock or against the route, parang lahat na nagfo-fall away, lahat ng problema, parang nagiging maliit na yung problema ng presidente, ng bansa, kasi life or death siya. Parang, although syempre ngayon may rope naman, I mean safe naman talaga mag-climb, pero yung feeling yung na nakatakot mahulog, so sobrang focus ka dun sa ginagawa mo. So, as a hobby, naging mental exercise din siya and resilience na, hindi, kaya ko to, figure it out, I'll get to the top eventually. And it kind of trained me to be brave, yung muscle of being brave. Kasi minsan, di ba, para siyang muscle memory din, na kailangan maging sanay ka to be uncomfortable kasi that's the only way to grow. So, for me, rock climbing was that. Parang it was a way to test my mental resilience at a time when I was really being tested mentally, emotionally by covering President Duterte.
Wow. So may ganun ding ano, natulong yung rock climbing, ano. Pero parang di ka ba napapagod na pati yung hobby mo na ano, kinakabahan ka din. Tsaka parang nasa bingit ka rin ng ano.
Hindi kasi relative lang yun eh. Kung sobrang nakakatakot yung hobby mo, di parang yung iba, parang manageable na. Kasi
Ayun,
nasasanay
nakakatulong
ka
siya.
sa ganung level of stress. Yung sobrang ano ba? parang ano no, sadomasochist ako.
Oh my. Wala ka pang ginagawang ano lang.
Anong tao?
Sana na gano'n, nagkakape ka lang sa gilid. Gusto mo laging ano. Pag nagra-rock climbing ka ba, naaalala mo si Bato? Meron.
Ang literal. Thank God hindi. Kasi
Hindi.
mas stress ako lalo.
Stress ka.
Maalala ko siya.
So parang yung rock climbing halong, kakaiba rin naman syempre extreme sports no? Nare-relax ka sa ganong,
Medyo weird.
kakaiba no?
Oo. Pero ganun siya nag-work eh. Kaya nga ang daming nag-rock climbing yun, feel.
Oo.
Yung you know how people like doing difficult things. Kasi pag nagawa mo siya, grabe yung catharsis lang na, uy, nagawa ko to. Parang hiking din. Sobrang nakakapagod niya. Parang feel mo, bakit ko pa ito ginagawa? But pag natapos mo, mas malala yung joy and yung catharsis. The harder something is, the more rewarding if you accomplish it. So baka yun din yung naging logic ng mind ko.
So sabi mo nag-Ateneo ka rin ano? Ano yung, kumusta yung ano mo? Experience mo sa campus? Ano yung naging course mo and paano rin nakatulong sa ginagawa mo ngayon?
Yung course ko, AB Communication.
Ako,
So,
okay.
yung track ko nun, kasi pwede kang pumili ng track, diba? So, production tsaka journalism yung pinili ko, na naging sobrang useful kasi nga, syempre yung news writing, basics, the ethics of news writing, etc. Tapos, mayroon ding production component, so, camera work, diba? How do you manage editing, ganon. So, very useful, but more than yung technical know-how, I think yung Ateneo education ko helped because yung priority lang on humanities, 'di ba? Yung parang everyone has to take humanities, putting the human-centered education at the heart of everything we do. Yung ano, parang man for others, syempre yung mga mantra na yun, I think they found their way to what I do. So, maganda yung feeling na nag-aaral ka for a greater purpose, yung for the greater good. Like, hindi lang para maging mayaman, para maging bilyonaryo. Parang everything we do must redound to the benefit of a community and nationhood. So I think magaling yung Ateneo in impressing that parang mission in all of its students. So
So LM ka nun, pero nag-guide on ka rin ba?
Hindi, actually yung funny, never ako nag-part ng isang student publication except for high school and grade school. Sa Ateneo Debate Society yung aking
Wow.
naging member ako doon. So for the first 2 years of Ateneo, which came in handy kasi mga press con, di ba, against Harry Roque,
Kaya
na debate
pala.
coach din siya, by
Oo
the
nga,
way.
oo.
So yung parang, you have to be able to make your point and summarize points well and rebut yung sino yung parang katunggali mo or ka-debate mo. Tsaka yung bring up good questions, follow-up questions. Kasi yung, when you interview, diba, it's really the art of the follow-up eh. Kasi pag mag-interview ka ng politician or ng official, magaling naman talaga sila mag-deflect. Like, alam na nila na you're going to ask the hard questions. Lalo na, Rappler, interview Rappler, ganyan. So, kailangan, what is your follow-up? Kasi doon mo siya pwedeng parang to force them to be accountable for a promise they made or a claim they made, an erroneous fact that they're exploiting, ganon. So, nakatulong talaga yung ADS. But yun nga, yung LM na org ko, for me, yun yung pinaka-useful na what I got from my
Kaiba, no?
college experience. Kasi yung network, tas, yun na, yung parang the importance of community, parang yung mental resilience na, kasi dati, patpatin ako, like, nakita mo naman ako, like, sobrang underweight ko even before. Now, hindi na masyado. Pero grabe yung pagka-underweight ko dati. Everyone was like, paano ka magiging mountaineer? Yung payat-payat mo, parang mahuhulog ka lang, ganun. Pero yun, like, I was able to be a member. Naging officer pa nga ako ng LM. Tapos, parang more of proving to myself na kaya ko pala to do things people said I couldn't do. Yun.
And ano naman, what made you pursue journalism? Meron bang moment na nag-spark sa'yo ng interest sa field na to?
Feel ko sa journalism, alam mo yung quote na, you should choose to do something you're good at, but also something the world needs. So siguro in my young idealistic self, I figured na, magaling ako sa communication kasi magaling ako mag-debate. Tapos nung grade school, high school, may napanalunan akong mga speech contest, writing contest, parang naman ako student journalist before. So, I think I'm good at writing. So, and then what does the world need? Maybe they don't need another, I don't know, parang journalism seemed to be something na would somehow matter or change things, even in a small way. Tsaka exciting yung journalism eh. Parang, at least, I think, getting out of college, yung pinaka-sure ako na ayaw kong gawin is office job na 9 to 5. Yun talaga yung clear na, ayaw kong mag 9 to 5. Ayaw kong maging stuck to a desk for the whole day. Gusto ko yung lumalabas ako, bago palagi yung taong kausap ko, or iba yung scene kung saan ako. So, I think journalism, yun yung job na even if it doesn't pay much in pesos, it pays a lot in experience. And yun naman yung, ako when I wanna die, when I die, I want to be able to say na, ang dami kong na-experience. Gusto ko pag lola na ako, ang dami kong kwento sa mga apo ko na, Lola did this when she was ganyan-ganyan. And lahat sila, whoa, you met this person, what? Ganon. So, yun yung for me, that's what wealth is. Not wealth in money, but wealth in perspectives and experiences.
Nagra-rock climbing ka pa?
Tapos
Tingin mo, no? Kahit lola na.
Oh my God, yun yung dream. Sana lang.
Sabi mo, ayaw ko ng 9 to 5. Kaya 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. ka. 7 a.m. to sa bundok. So, pero ang ganda marinig yung background mo rin, Pia, no? Kasi lumilitaw din yung naging foundation mo. No? Debate, reading, stories, mountaineering, being a mom, and parang mukhang naging foundation mo yan sa work mo, no? Na kailangan ng matinding resilience, matinding tibay, no? So, ano naman yung naging unang trabaho mo or mga naging work mo before Rappler?
Yung unang trabaho ko was for GMA News Network. So,
nag-GMA ka
naging
pala.
writer-producer ako for Saksi. So, yung, di ba, late night newscast siya. So, ako yung nagsusulat ng mga crawler. Yung mga binabasa ni Arnold Clavio na, yung mga intro niya, gano'n. Tapos ako rin yung gumagawa ng mga rap ng foreign news. So, yung mga international na balita. Pia, parang ano ba yung interesting na headlines? Gawin mo siya ng package. So, parang voice-over package. Tapos, mga reports coming from the field, ako yung, parang pinapackage ko para, parang sama-sama and mas summarized siya, gano'n. So, enjoy naman siya, pero, parang desk work na naman siya eh. So parang I felt na there should be more to journalism than just, diba, being tied to a desk. Pero maganda siyang intro kasi nakita mo talaga yung back end ng isang newscast. So, yung pace, dun ko natuto talaga yung parang, kailangan on your toes palagi. May pinapagalitan ng malala sa katabi mo. Tapos, parang kailangan, go pa rin kasi may, kailangan basahin natin yung Arnold Clavio in the next 5 minutes. Ganun. So, yung pace was good. Like, the training to understand the pace of a newsroom. Tapos, yung being sharp, on your toes, parang agile ka dapat. Tapos, you should be able to process lots of information and distill it into a very understandable, well-told story. Yun yung mga, kasi when you write for TV, iba siya when you write for print, diba? Kailangan very snappy, kasi
Soundbite.
visual siya talaga. So, magandang training siya, but syempre, when you're a young college grad, gusto mo rin mag-explore and to find out what you can do pa. So, kaya after GMA, yun, in-invite na ako ng aking former professor na sumali sa Rappler. So, second job ko yung Rappler.
Sinong professor mo?
Chai Hofilenia. Isa
yes,
sa aming mga terror editors. She'll kill me. Pero parang one of the manangs of Rappler. So, one of the founders of Rappler, si Miss Chai.
So, kumusta naman? What was it like joining Rappler? And, tama, no? Kaka-start lang ng Rappler nun. Bago lang ang Rappler. So, gusto ko sanang sabihin na yun niya eh. Marami namang ibang, sabihin na natin, mas matagal na, mas established na mga media groups. No? Pwede kang nagtuloy sa GMA hanggang sa na-imagine mo ba yung sarili mo na maging next Mel Chanco, ganyan. Pero what made you choose Rappler, to go with Rappler kahit na bago lang? And aside from siguro natakot ka kay Miss Chai dahil terror prof mo siya. No? pero yun, no? What was it like joining Rappler?
I think I decided to join Rappler kasi mas written word siya. So, mas may writing, long form, ganun. Kaysa, di ako masyadong attracted to TV, to video. Kasi gusto ko talaga writing. Yun yung strength ko as a communicator. So, Rappler was a young startup. Founded siya 2011. Facebook page lang yung Rappler nun. And hindi pa Rappler yung name niya, MovePH, which is really a civic engagement arm. Ngayon yung MovePH, within Rappler siya. Pero Rappler yun, naging website na siya. And nung nandun ako, siguro mga late lang na employee count namin. Ngayon kasi 100 na kami. Pero nung time na yun, siguro mga less than 20 or something. So, I was the first lifestyle reporter of Rappler. Yung kino-cover ko, beauty pageant, mga bench fashion, bench body, mga silent film festival, nag-review ako ng mga restaurants, nag-interview ako ng mga celebrities. Yan, pag may namatay na celebrity, ako magsusulat niya. So, din yung work ko. Yung unang work ko for Rappler was really covering life and style and entertainment. At siguro, if you're looking at the industry from outside, parang fun lang siyang work. Kasi, uy, wow, life and style. Parang banjing-banjing lang. Pero actually, sobrang stressful ng lifestyle entertainment coverage. Kasi parang everyday may mamamatay na celebrity element. Tapos kailangan cover mo yun. Tapos baka may malaking funeral pa for that person. Tsaka maraming breaking news din actually sa life and style. Tsaka yun, Binibining Pilipinas, diba? Miss Universe, ano yan, national sport yan. So, grabe yung coverage niyan. Kasi our community really cares about beauty pageants. So, intense siyang training as a multimedia reporter. First time ko kasi mag-reporter na field, yung talagang lalabas ka, on cam, mag-i-interview ka ng tao, ganun. So, exciting siya. Sobrang exciting.
So, nagsaksi ka, siguro dun mo nga nakita yung yung traditional na na media group kung paano ginagawa, and mas veteran na rin yung mga kasama nyo doon. Pero itong sa Rappler, startup, mas rock and roll, I bet, no? Mas kayo-kayo lang. And napunta ka pa sa ibang field, no? Siguro mas nag-diversify yung pananaw mo rin, sa pag-cover ng iba't ibang balita. Ito nga, lifestyle, entertainment. Na tingin ko naman, dahil nga very fond of stories ka, okay din sa'yo na hindi lang limited to, to one department, and na-expose ka rin sa iba. Tapos, dito sa Rappler, parang, paano naman yung naging work mo with Miss Maria Ressa, naging mentor mo rin ba siya?
So si Maria, CEO siya ng Rappler, so hindi siya masyadong involved in the day-to-day management. Pero very siya, parang she really cares about the overall direction of Rappler. And siya talaga yung nag-envision ng mga, parang siya yung visionary sa Rappler.
Gets.
Nagkaka-big ideas si Maria, and then she'll really communicate it to the team, and parang she'll leave the nuts and bolts to you, but yung vision sa kanya talaga. So, marami mga ginagawa yung Rappler na siya yung parang siya yung brainchild niya yun. Kunwari, yung aming coalition called Facts First PH. Ito lumabas siya nung 2022 elections, nung malala yung disinformation during elections. So, bumuo siya ng coalition of different civil society groups, pati other newsrooms. Coalition siya for fact-checking, to promote, to make truth viral the same way nagiging viral yung disinformation. Parang dapat may
Pangontra.
parang may network na ma-mobilize din for the truth. If may ganong network, yung troll farms, diba, yung for disinformation, dapat meron ding similar parang panangga yung katotohanan. So, yun, naging brainchild na yun. So ako, I was really more involved in that side, yung meeting with the coalition members, parang making her vision happen, like linking that vision to our partners. So as community head, kunwari yung aming bagong app, siya yung may may pakana na what if we had a social media platform run by journalists? Imagine Facebook not run by Mark Zuckerberg but ran by Maria Ressa. Yun yung kanyang vision. So ako bilang head of community, I'm part of the team na making our app accessible, making sure na yung community namin, yung readers namin, nakapag-download ng app at parang nakikinabang sa app, parang useful sa kanila yung news app namin. Ganun.
So parang sa Rappler, no, syempre, kahit na bago siya nung time na yon, nung nag-start ka pa lang, pero grabe yung yung guidance na nakukuha niyo from the veteran journalists na manangs nga ng Rappler. So parang I feel like ang ganda ring kung aspiring journalist ka, young journalist ka, ang ganda ring ma-mentor nung mga mas matagal na sa industry.
Sobra. Kasi I feel like yung maganda sa Rappler, parang news organization siya, pero for sure, parang walang politics. Kumbaga, parang hindi siya minsan, di ba may organizations na, kasi close ka sa kay ganyan, so parang you will be promoted, ganyan. Pero sa Rappler kasi sobrang based siya on your performance. Parang if you do a good job covering this major story, mapapansin ka, bigyan ka ng more responsibilities to prove yourself, and then yun na naman, parang bigger and bigger. So they really, I really feel that the mentorship is really merit-based. And diba, as someone who wants to prove themselves, gusto mo sa isang organization na merit-based yung assessment, hindi yung kung kanino ka close or kasi parang, you get along so well with this person. Hindi, dapat based on how well you do your job. And yun yung maganda sa Rappler. Saka very, yung nakita kong leadership role modeling talaga was nung Duterte administration na grabe yung crisis namin as a newsroom. Yung tipong ang dami nag-back out na advertisers, grabe yung revenue namin na wala in the blink of an eye. And then for the manangs to hold the fort during that time. Tapos jail pa sila. Parang lahat na ng threat, parang jail time, nawalan ka na ng advertisers, ng profit, parang yung salaries. They actually took some people even deducted from their salary para lang makapag-survive yung Rappler. So, yung ganun, yung parang leadership in crisis. I think yun yung natutunan ko from them to be able to survive that time period with a clear head na they ran a tight ship but it survived that storm.
Yun pa lang itatanong ko Grabe, no? Kasi, hindi, pero tama, Pia parang, syempre, no, exciting yung work nyo, maliit na group, pero may pinapatunayan, tinatry maging bago rin, no, na labas dun sa traditional news reporting or journalism. Pero yun nga no, yung dinaanan nyo sa Duterte years, grabe, no, nasa receiving end kayo ng heavy attacks, no. And yun nga, paano sa tingin mo na hold the fort ng mga manangs yan? And kayong mga bata, parang sa tingin mo yung nagpa-stay sa inyo? And kumbaga, ang dami ring reasons to go 'di ba? Dahil kinuha na lahat sa inyo, no? Yun nga, kinukulong, tinatanggalan ng opportunities, ng ads, ganyan. So, clearly parang inuuyog nila kayo no? Pero ano sa tingin mo yung, ikaw personally, bakit ka nagstay? And sa tingin mo, as, yung Rappler as a group, bakit hold the line o kaya hold the fort yung grupo?
Yung mga manlangs kasi, nahubog sila during the EDSA period, yung EDSA revolution. People power, alam naman natin nung time na yun, media non-existent, di ba? Sobrang controlled ng Marcos administration yung media. So, sina Glenn De Gloria, Maria Ressa, everyone, the manangs, they were young journalists at that time. So, feel ko, yung ganong mindset na we must stand against a dictator, hindi nawala yun eh. Parang nandun pa rin talaga siya sa puso nila. So, that kept them steady, na parang eyes on the ball, ika nga. Kasi alam naman nila, clear yung vision na despite all of these obstacles before us, we're clearly on the right path. Na parang we're holding our ground. Kasi alam naman natin, history will judge us favorably. Parang baka ngayon lang it sounds like we're the bad guys. Parang, we're being vilified. Parang, ano yun, sabi ni Duterte sa akin nung in-interview ko siya eh, parang, how can you call yourself a Filipino? You're the enemy. Ganyan yung, may brainwashing na nangyayari na they're making you think ikaw yung villain. Pero if, alam mo naman na, kung mas may long view ka, the way the Manangs did, na, we've been through this. We've been through a Marcos dictatorship and media did not fall then, diba? In fact, we had a revival after. We parang survived that period. So, alam nila na this too shall pass. Kailangan lang to hold our ground and to not budge kasi tama naman yung ginagawa natin. Even if people will say otherwise. No, there are also other people who believe in us. So, yung ganun lang, parang, steady. So, ako as a journalist din, so yun, nakita ko yun na, wow, grabe yung, hindi tayo papalag. Yun, yung clear messaging na yun. And, yung yung feeling mo kasi, nandun ka na, parang yung closure, gusto mo kasi makita yung ending. Alam mo, pag may Netflix show ka, nasimulan mo na siya, grabe yung exciting to, kahit, oh my God, parang, scene na to, parang napaka-traumatic naman yung scene na to, pero you need to know what happens next. So, I stayed because I just needed to know what happens next. And what was crucial for me was I was part of the writing of that narrative. So, alam mo yun, I want to finish the story, no matter what. Parang, kailangan ko tuldukan to. So, parang weird naman if I let go in the middle of when it's just getting good. So, yun yung, medyo medyo mababaw lang yung reason ko. Gusto ko lang matapos. Pero, alam yun, parang yung sense of closure lang din. And yung sense na, I will survive this. I will be able to say at the end of the 6 years na, and then natapos ko siya. And look, I'm still a journalist. I'm still working in the media.
May time ba dun na parang, shit, ba't ko ginawa to? Parang gusto ko makita yung ending pero hindi ko alam na ganito pala yung pagdadaanan ko.
More of yung family ko. So, my mom, for example, parang natakot siya for me. And with may right siya talaga matakot. Like, as a mother myself ngayon, di ba? Siyempre, you would want to extricate your daughter from that difficult situation. And nung time na yun, lalo nung after ako, yung Malacanang ban, na-televise kasi yung altercation, di ba? So, maraming tao na, ngayon namumukhaan na ako kahit nasa grocery or random place. So, natakot yung mom ko noon na, baka may magtapon ng acid sa Facebook. So, talagang nag-assign pa ng driver to drive me to Malacanang kasi dati nag-LRT lang ako everyday. So, for 2 months, meron akong dedicated driver para lang safe, ganun. Yun, so yung time na yun, hindi ko naman regret. Pero more of, parang power through. Medyo ngayon yung hindi maganda sa media, parang yung feeling na you just have to push on, even if meron ka ng traumatic scars or meron ka ng mental issues. Yun yung baka kailangan ayusin in the world of media. Like that feeling that you have to just suffer through it. Pero yun yung ginawa ko. Wala akong choice. Kasi headline after headline, parang minsan wala ka ng time ng process eh. Kasi kailangan, may sinabi na naman siya, ang kababalaghan, kailangan ko na naman isulat at mag-interview to get the context and to understand the implications. So minsan parang after nung 6 years, nung tapos na yung admin, nasa fellowship na ako sa States, yun yung time na talagang first time in my life na wala akong work na parang daily grind. Wala yun. I had myself, all to myself. I had all the time in the world. At nag-fold lang ako ng laundry. Yung nasa kama lang ako, folding my shirts, my clothes. Biglang umiyak na lang ako. Like, wala namang catalyst. Like, wala namang nangyari. Like, I'm just in my condo, like, diba, folding things. But baka yun yung time na, that was the only time I had to process what happened in those 6 years. So doon na lumabas. And hindi ko na siya napigilan.
Pero grabe, naalala ko yung clips na yan nung naban ka nga sa Malacanang. And wala lang, parang ang weird lang na yung administration, previous administration, ay sinasabing matapang, malakas ang loob, macho. Pero nang baban ng ng reporter, no? So parang gulong-gulo rin ako noon. Tsaka parang unheard of sa akin yung yung may hindi pa papasukin na reporter, no. Tapos kahapon niya tinry kong balikan yung ilang clips, nung press ko nung 2018. At grabe, yung press ko ni Digong, tapos nandun ka, tapos kung ano-anong sinasabi niya. Pero parang clearly parang matapang mo siyang hinarap. At parang pakiramdam ko, hindi nga lang si Duterte ang surrounded siya by all these people. Si Bongo nasa likod, yung mga security niya. Tapos parang ang mag-isa mo nun. Kahit na parang part ka ng maraming ng media, ng maraming journalists, parang singled out ka dun. No? Pero nakita ko, parang grabe yung pag-power through mo. Yung sinasabi mong, kahit na kung ano-anong sinasabi niya, na tingin ko dapat napapatigil ka na, o kaya shucks, ano ba itong nangyayari? Pero parang talong ka pa rin. Tapos parang sinasabi mo, sir, you're digressing. Parang ikaw pa yung nagre-remind sa kanya na...
Tactic niya yun talaga.
Oo, parang aware ka dun sa ganong ginagawa niya, no? Pero, yun, paano mo naharap yun? Parang is it something na na lang, parang nangyari na lang and then kinailangan mo siyang harapin and then nagulat ka na lang na kinaya mo siyang hindi ka tumitiklop at naharap mo siya, or is it something na parang you're prepared to confront, no, to face?
Yun yung pinakagalit na nakita ko si Duterte. Kasi may times na, sanay na kami dun sa back and forth na yan. Like, maybe hindi lang ganun ka known by most, but those kinds of confrontations actually happen fairly often. Like, every time may press con siya, may ganun talaga kaming tense moment na i-expect na yan ng ibang reporters. Ito si Pia na may magkakaroon ng something. Pero yun yung pinakagalit siya. Kasi yun nga yung time na we wrote about frigate deal, yung biggest military deal, I think in history, in Philippine history, and nag-intervene yung office niya. Yun yung story namin. So galit na galit siya doon kasi it's like we were implying corrupt siya, ganun, and linink pa namin si Bongo doon sa nangyari. So naalala ko yun, parang print out pa nila yung story ko, tapos parang ginanon, tapos, pero shocked ako talaga na ganun siya parang, iba na to, like, ibang klaseng press contention na to. So, pero yun yung, hindi naman, journalists never look for moments like that. We're not the story. Parang, you will ask any journalist, ayaw talaga namin maging nasa camera, na parang naging yun yung center of attention. We really shy away from that. But for this story, syempre kasi you're after, you need to get the answer Hindi naman sa parang, hindi, gusto ko, malagay na naman ako sa limelight. Kailangan mo kasi malagay sa story mo kung ano yung sinabi niya. Diba? So yung side niya, kinukuha mo. So, we are actually doing him a service, diba? As a journalist, we're getting your side so that we can depict fairly all sides of the story. So, hindi siya na parang, it's part of the job. Having to ask that question was me parang ticking my boxes. So, if it comes with hostility, if it comes with that, the consequence of pag-iinitan ka, wala kang choice kundi i-accept Kasi, kung hindi mo gawin yun, paano mo masusulat? Paano mo submit yung story mo? So, medyo practical din yung reasons ng isang reporter for pushing during a press con. Kasi yan lang yung time na makukuha mo siya Hindi mo siya pwedeng i-text, diba? Hindi mo siya pwedeng, sir, pwede bang email mo ko mamaya yung statement mo? Hindi, parang kung nandun na siya, yun yung best moment na pwede mo siyang tanungin. And best pa kasi makita mo yung reaction niya, on cam pa siya. Pero yung isang hindi alam ng mga tao for that press con, when I was responding to him, ino-off nila yung mic ko. Biglang may error or may something parang mechanical failure or electrical failure. For some reason, yung mga sagot ko sa kanya, hindi narinig sa camera. So, ewan ko lang kung sinadya yun para hindi marinig nung televised audience yung sinasabi ko. But, yun, may ganong narrative control kasi yung government, di ba? Like, that's why they're able to vilify journalists so easily at that time. Kasi si Duterte, yun yung messaging niya. Yung kanyang trolls and bloggers, yun din yung messaging niya na prostitute, di ba? Journalists, ano yan, enemy of the people, of progress. So, yun, yung all-powerful kasi talaga yung arsenal niya nung time na yun. Yung may hawak siya sa lahat ng communication lines. So, kaya naging very difficult for journalists to operate at that time.
Grabe, no? Nung pinapanood ko, pati ako natetense ako eh.
Di ba? Parang kinakaba ka for yourself.
Totoo, parang, tsaka aggressive nga niya. Parang galit siya, parang napikon siya. Tapos parang lalo siguro siyang napipikon kasi nagigets ko yung sinasabi mo na wala kang time na ma-personalin. Parang napansin ko sa'yo talagang porsigido ka lang na kailangan ko ng sagot mo. Sagot ka lang. Huwag mo nang anuhin. Ang dami mo namang ano. Parang gano'n. Ang dami mo namang inaano. Oo.
Puyat-puyat pa ako. Sorry, sulat ko pa to.
Oo.
Yun ang naging mindset.
Ito po yung trabaho ko eh. Kaya parang nag-gets ko yung sabi mo na yun. Kaya parang feeling ko lalo siyang napipika eh. Kasi tinatry ka niyang i-break eh. At maapektuhan ka. Dahil kung ano na sinasabi niya eh, na parang masaya ka ba sa ginagawa mo? Yun yung mga sinasabi niya eh, di ba?
Hindi pa siya ganun. Tsaka may isang time, hindi yung press con na yun eh, pero may isang live rin na ambush interview. Talagang sinabi niya, wag ka pupuntang Davao kasi may masamang mangyayari sa'yo.
Talaga?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Tapos may other time naman, nag-joke siya na parang, sympathetic, parang sinasabi niya na binigyan daw niya ako ng relo. Parang, sana yung Patek watch mo, parang pathetic, ganyan-ganyan. So, kunwari daw, he gifted me with, di ba Patek Philippe, parang expensive watch yun. So, siya daw may Seiko watch. So, saan daw yung Patek Philippe watch ko? Kasi Seiko Patek kami. May ganun siya.
Ano ba yan? Kung wordplay, naglilinya-linya si President
Dad jokes pa siya.
Oh my God.
Na may onting connotation of, I bribed you, I control you. May ganun pa siya. Siyempre, he never gave me a watch. Like, for the record, that never happened.
Wow, lumilinya-linya pa pala si Tatay Diggs, ano? Seiko Patek.
Seiko Patek.
Patek.
Pero yung endorser na ng Seiko Patek.
Ano ba yan? Grabe. Pero grabe, no? Parang even pala off-cam, may mga ganun talaga siyang attempt to, parang nambabraso rin siya, no? Sanay ata talaga siya sa ganun eh.
Oo,
na
ganun
parang
talaga yung gawin niya.
Kailangan sila nga yung nagdidictate ng narrative. And kapag may konting nagtatry uyugin sila, nagiging ganun no? Pero kumusta yung mga kasamahan mo sa media nun? Parang were they saying na, Pia, wag mo nang anuhin. Or parang mag-fold ka na, wag mo nang mapapahama ka lang dyan. Or were they parang, laban mo kami. Parang ganyan. Nasaan yung mga kasamahan mo na, at least na hindi from Rappler?
Sadly, hindi unified pa rin ng media industry. So, merong mga colleagues ako in other newsrooms na same talaga, like, on the same page, parang, you were just doing your job, keep doing your job, tama yung questioning mo, parang, sige lang. Pero mayroon pa rin din mga journalists na, sad to say, co-opted by the powerful. Sila yung type na, trabaho lang talaga to, na they just wanna get through the day unscathed, and kung hahaba pa yung press con kasi ang dami mong tanong, Pia, tama na. Yung gano'n, yung may ganong attitude din. And meron din na corrupt talaga na journalist. Meron talaga siya. Like in every industry naman, meron. So, it's really up to also the journalism profession and the public to demand the best journalism from our newsrooms. Kasi, parang privilege to report, diba? Like, you have access that no other Filipino has. So you should be giving that access to people who will really do their jobs and use that access to get answers that matter to the Filipinos.
Yung mga sinabi mong corrupt na journalists, napansin mo ba kung nakapatek sila?
Ay, dapat pala tinignan.
Or naka-Seiko?
Ang obvious na nun, sa press con sinuot. Grabe. Walang hiya na.
Pero Pia, grabe rin yung palitan niyo ni then spokesperson Harry Roque, no? Kumusta siya nun? No? And ano rin yung thoughts mo sa nangyayari sa kanya ngayon?
Minsan naawa rin ako kasi Harry Roque, before the Duterte admin, was known as a lawyer who fought for the rights of journalists. And until now, he will say that. And I think meron nga siyang recent podcast I think a few days lang release na he was claiming that nung naban ako, sinundo daw niya ako sa harap. Na actually hindi siya sang-ayon sa ban. He actually fought for me. And even other people in government were saying that, Pia, hindi namin nagustuhan yung ginawa ni Pangulo, ganyan. Pero yun yung sabi niya. So, yung kanyang message ngayon, syempre he still is behind journalists. But at the time, di ba, parang as a spokesman, you could have done so much more to stand up for the rights of journalists. Kasi nung time na yun, di ba, may mga pinatay na journalist. Tsaka may ABS-CBN, di ba? 16,000 jobs down the drain kasi na-reject yung franchise nila on grounds na very flimsy. So, di ba, parang you're already in a position of power. What did you do with that power? Kasi parang you're staying in the inner circle of the president, but at what cost? Parang it seemed, parang yung question ko sa kanya, yung ambition mo ba trump your values? Kasi if it didn't trump your values, you would have let that job go to stand for the people being oppressed and being harassed. But he didn't, diba? He stayed on. Until now, he's still defending the president. So, parang, what do you stand for now? Ganon. Ambition mo lang ba? Or parang what happened to those values?
Kalungkot niya, no? And naano ko nga yan parang sa isang interview, na balitaan ko rin na yun niya, parang siya yung nag-pro bono lawyer sa mga ilang journalists that time. Kasama si Secretary Carandang. Parang grupo sila ng mga journalists na siya yung naghumarap para i-defend sila. Pero yun niya no? Grabe yung turn And parang hindi mo na makita yung ganun niya. No? Grabe yung turn. And mukhang parang pinanindigan niya na talaga And parang no turning back na yung dating sa kanya, no?
Funny nga na siya pa yung lawyer na who was advocating for the return of the Philippines in the ICC. Kasi ngayon siya yung parang binabadmouth niya yung ICC, ganon. So, yun parang medyo moral lesson rin si Harry Roque na parang, this is how you could turn out, di ba? If you lose sight of things. So,
kaya salamat kay Harry Roque para sa kanyang magandang halimbawa. No?
Case
study. At saka next na interview ni Harry Roque, titignan ko kung ano yung relo niya.
Silipin mo.
Pero, Pia, no, grabe yung experience mo nung time na yon. Nung panahon na yon, no, ano yung mga realizations mo tungkol sa media, no, and sa relationship ng media sa government?
Yung nakita ko nung Duterte admin, napakadali ng mga certain personalities na i-vilify yung media. Parang napakadali to convince Filipinos na, hindi, bayaran lang yan or biased yan. Which told me that hindi talaga naintindihan ng Filipino yung ginagawa ng media. Siguro may miscom, may distrust. We take for granted that our readers know who we are, know how we operate, know the ethics we ascribe to. And yun, parang tinake for granted natin yun. So as a media industry, feel ko may reckoning na nangyayari ngayon na how do we ensure the connection between journalists and readers is more authentic, more real, stronger to the point na mawithstand niya yung mga narratives at propaganda ng mga populist leaders tulad ni Duterte. Kasi, di ba, ang dali-dali biglang makausap, prostitute, naging viral pa yung, kinoin pa niya yung term na prostitute. So, ngayon, kung tatanungin mo yung isang average Filipino, parang, parang media, hindi ako nakikinig sa media. Doon lang ako sa mga vloggers. So, di ba, napaka-tenuous ng relationship pala natin with Filipinos na akala natin, naiintindihan nila yung ginagawa natin at importante sa kanila yung ginagawa natin. Pero baka hindi. Baka hindi natin, and maybe, obviously, like part of the problem was the propaganda of the politicians. But also maybe what made us susceptible to that propaganda was the fact that we never cultivated that relationship. So sa Rappler, maganda sa Rappler, may community engagement talaga yung aming organization. Isa sa 3 pillars ng Rappler, ang community, apart from journalism and technology. Kaya meron kaming civic engagement arm. Kaya ginagawa namin mas two-way yung aming journalism. So, Sa mga stories namin, we try to connect our storytelling with communities, people who were marginalized, yung hindi masyadong pinapansin ng mainstream or ng traditional media. Mas may two-way connection kami. We involve them in storytelling, we crowdsource. Ano magandang story or anong tingin mo sa ganitong development? At binibida namin yung mga boses ng mga communities. Hindi lang puro experts lang or journalists lang nagsasalita. So yeah, we do a lot of, we go across the country, nag-workshops kami, imparting fact-checking skills or community journalism skills. So, yun, nagpapakilala na ang mga journalist, human din. May mga families kami, meron kaming personalities, may personal life kami. At so, mas nakakonect nila sa values namin. Na hindi lang kami nagsusulat ng headline, nakikinig din kami. More than writing, I think journalism is about listening.
So grabe kasi yun nga, sa harap nung mga pinagdaanan nyo sa administration na yun, parang ang dami nyo ring bit-bit na learnings from that experience na ginawan nyo ng paraan para paano ma-improve. No? Kaya ito, mas tinatry nyo mas maging connected to the community para may part sila na hindi lang one way ang journalism. So, ang galing no. And lipat lang ako, Pia, to alam ko Towns awardee ka the Outstanding Women in Nation Service awardee ng 2022 along with other brilliant Filipinas. Sabi mo sa press conference doon na you dedicated the award to all Filipino political journalists who have faced harassment, vilification, bullying, and misogyny for their work covering the powerful. So ngayon 2025 na, bago na rin yung administrasyon. Para sa iyo ba may parang pagbabago ka ring karanasan? Sa karanasan, may pagbabago ba sa karanasan ng political journalists ngayon sa pag-cover sa mga nasa kapangyarihan?
Well, Frenchie May Cumpio, who is a young journalist, is still jailed sa Tacloban City. Meron siyang, may charge siya na parang illegal, meron daw siya illegal weapons, ganon, na nahanap, and for 5 years, she is still in detention. So, that's one example of a journalist na hanggang ngayon hindi pa siya nakakalaya kahit wala pang sentence, wala pang conviction. So, isang malalang manifestation yun na meron pa ring injustices at meron pa ring attacks against journalists na hindi pa rin tayo safe kahit hindi na si Duterte ang Pangulo. Tsaka, marami pa ring newsrooms na co-opted like binibili ng mga politicians, lalo sa probinsya may mga radio stations na ngayon owned by dummies of political figures. So, hindi completely free yung media sa Pilipinas hanggang ngayon. Marami pa examples. Meron pa rin mga murders ng journalist, di ba? So, si Juan Humalo na was murdered noon, daylight, in his own house while he was live recording a podcast. So, may mga ganun nangyayari. So, impunity is still existing. We must still fight it. Meron pa rin tayong cyber libel na batas na imagine, it's a law that penalizes libel done online and mas malala pa yung punishment for cyber libel compared to the usual libel. So, wala pa tayong freedom of information law. So, hindi pa rin natin ma-access yung government data unlike in other countries na you don't need to request. They publish it on the get-go. Tayo, dami exceptions dun sa FOI executive order ni Duterte. Marami mga request kaming ginagawa na dinideny kasi it falls under those exceptions. When if we had the law, dapat automatic yung rini-release sa public. Yung SALN ng ni Duterte, hindi pa rin rini-release. So, di ba, parang, we don't know his wealth, how much he made when he was president. And same with Marcos. So, di ba, ang dami pa rin challenges to being a journalist today. At we are still waiting for the president to really act on these challenges.
So clearly, marami pa. Marami pang, siguro dahil nanggaling din sa administration na yun, na na-carry over din with his administration. Pero, syempre nakakarinig din ako ng mga sentiment na, iba talaga nung panahon ni Duterte, mas nakakatakot, mas controlled yung media, pero ngayon, medyo mas nakakabalita na, mas parang, yun, would you say ba na parang sa surface lang ba siya parang magkaiba? Dahil mas subtle ba yung way ng ngayon? Mas hindi lantaran katulad before? Hindi sing hindi showy and hindi masyadong kita yung mga nangyayari ngayon. Would you say ganun ba? Or talagang may stark difference din yung dalawang administration?
I would say hindi openly hostile yung current administration sa media. Kasi si President Marcos, mas concerned din siya sa reputation niya abroad. So, syempre, kung concerned ka sa reputation mo, lalo na for the Western, the democratic world, you wouldn't want to crack down on media because that's a red flag for 'di ba, democracies in other countries. Pero si Duterte kasi nung time na yun, wala siyang pake. So alam mo yun, parang ayaw nga niya sa West, 'di ba? So wala siyang pake na red flag yung kanyang admin for banning a journalist or closing down a media network. So wala siyang pake. So in that sense, I guess you could say in a better place in the sense that we have a president who cares enough to be pressured to act a certain way. Na mas, 'di ba, pro-democracy, mas onting naman. So, I guess that's one silver lining. Pero syempre, yung masakla pa rin is pwede rin siyang to not act on things. Na pwede niya sabihin, that's not a priority, or hindi, I'm busy with more important things. But syempre, parang marami pa rin changes in our media landscape. Like, lalo na yung decriminalizing libel. That's one way you can really free up journalists. Kasi yung iba hindi sila nag-report or sinasoften nila yung report nila kasi natatakot sila sa libel. Diba? Ako, I've faced 4 libel cases against me, filed at the same time in 4 different courts. And imagine kung kailangan mo mag-shell out ng lawyer's fees para lumipad sa Mindanao and answer all of these cases na pare-pareho lang. So, yun yung yun yung mga parang structural things in our law, in our country that still stifles press freedom. Even if hindi siya lantarang hostility, but the fact that it's still there, may chilling effect siya eh.
So, hindi rin ibig sabihin pag tahimik ay okay na.
Baka masyadong tahimik. Baka may
nga
problema sa silence na yun, di ba?
So, magkaiba lang ng style pero parehong kailangang may gawin, no? Kaya mukhang kailangan tuloy lang yung tulak, no? So, punta naman tayo, Pia, sa mas journalism or reporting in the modern age, no, ngayon, no? So, sa tingin mo, how has journalism changed now that everyone is considered a content creator?
Yun nga yung mahirap eh. Kasi just a few days ago, may isang content creator who used our journalism for their episode. Tapos wala man lang credit. So, di ba, ang dali-daling gawin yun. So, nakikinabang sila sa hard work ng journalist. Wala man lang citation. Kahit yung bare minimum na respect for, di ba, the fact that someone else did the legwork. So, yun yung nakakatakot na we're living in a world where people don't look for the citation. Like, who gave you that information? We just listen to something because it's entertaining. Parang we judge content not based on the veracity or the quality of the information, but how entertaining it is. And that for me is a problem. Kasi that's a world where journalists will find it hard to compete with content creators who are funnier, who are more, who are prettier. Yung mas magaling sila mag-deliver ng lines. Pero yung journalistic skill of verification, diba, parang leather shoe reporting, mag-interview ka ng tao, straight from the source, parang people don't value that as much anymore. And that's what worries me.
And ano sa tingin mo yung paano naman kukontrahin yung parang reality na yan ngayon?
Well, kami sa Rappler, nag-a-adjust kami by being a bit more entertaining.
Kayo na lang mag-adjust, ayaw mag-adjust sa mga tao.
Diba? Kasi dun, kunwari kami, may TikTok kami. Yun, that TikTok account has grown so much because we adjusted to the way millennials and Gen Z consume news. So kung makita niyo yung mga yung TikTok ng rapper, follow niyo yung rapper sa TikTok. Nag-adjust na kami kasi ginagawa na namin vertical yung aming explainers, vertical videos. Meron kaming very popular series called Inside Track. Yun, basically, pinag-uusapan ni Lian Buwan, our investigative reporter, yung kanyang investigations, ano yung behind the scenes of like finding this out, etc. So yun, sobrang pumatok yun kasi nga, it speaks the language of that consuming demographic. But it still has the quality of the journalism. So we never let go of, we say, sino yung source namin dito? Ilalagay namin, nagsasalita si Lian pero may graphic na, galing to sa Office of the Ombudsman or something. So sourcing is there. Like you can do entertaining, high-quality journalism in the formats people flock to. And we're doing that. We just need people to also see the value of content na verified, na pinaghirapan ng journalist. Kasi rare yung ganong content, di ba? Parang hindi naman lahat ng content creator makakapag-verify ng ganyang info, di ba? So, we're not saying don't follow the content creators you love. Like, follow them, but please have some space for journalists in your feed. Yung ganun. Follow mo kami, sana lumabas kami sa for your, yung FYP, di ba? So, we do that. And kung nakita mo yung mga reports namin, hindi na siya yung, ako, si Pira Nada, nagre-reports, di ba? Hindi na ganun. Yung delivery namin, mas relatable, less flamboyant, hindi yung parang TV style na malakas yung boses. Talagang mas, siya, like, closer to you. The format is very vertical. Hindi nga kami nagpapakilala. Like, nandun na lang sa downstream. Pira Nada, ganyan. So, straight to the point. Yung rule sa amin na kailangan the first 4 seconds is a hook. So, yun. Iniiba namin yung aming delivery para yung first sentence pa lang, parang, attention grabbing. Kasi we recognize that people's attention spans are so much smaller, but we need to make the most of the time we do have to get them informed. Kasi baka naman, yung interest na yun in that short clip, mag-translate to interest in the long form. Na, kaya at the end of every video, meron kaming click this link for more. Kasi we're hoping na, sana naman basahin niyo yung mas kumpletong report.
Ang galing, no? Parang, ang galing na very open yung Rappler sa changes na to, no? And sa new technology, sa galaw sa social media, ng content creation niya, na nag-adjust na kayo, no? And I feel like ang nagagawa rin nun, bukod sa siyempre, ang hope nun ay mas maging effective talaga, mas makakonect to more people, mas makuha nyo na yung younger generation. Pero yung ganda rin ng point na you're showing a good example, na it can be done sa paraan ng bagong technology ngayon and ng content creators ngayon, nang hindi nawawala yung citation, hindi nawawala yung tamang way of reporting. So parang pumasok kayo dun sa media na to, sa medium na to, ng social media, ng content creation, pero bit-bit nyo pa rin yung values ng and standards ng journalism. No? Ang galing lang nun, no?
Pero buti wala pa kami sa point na mag-song and dance kami.
Kailangan.
Oh my God.
Kailangan. Ano kala nyo mga katakas kayo doon? Di ba may mga viral ngayon, yung may tumatalon na reporter na lumilipat siya sa iba-ibang mga...
Oo, nakita ko nga.
Kanina, na-flash namin kanina. Lumilipat-lipat siya sa ibang lugar. Ang galing. So, ako okay. Ang galing nung nangyayari sa media ngayon. Na hindi, kumbaga, nagmamatigas din. Na ito lang. Kumbaga, ginagawa nyo pa rin naman yung long form, ginagawa nyo pa rin yun. Pero you're attempting to be more connected with the younger generation. And laging may leading to the, parang yung hook lang, 4 seconds. And then itong short video na to will lead you to the more comprehensive na thing, no? Parang, so parang sa podcast, ganyan na rin ngayon Parang we're not expecting everyone to listen to an hour of an episode, pero meron kaming snippets na nilalabas na content na yun in itself. No, yung 30 seconds na yan, may hook na. First 2-4 seconds, dapat may huli na yun. So isipin mo yung 30 seconds na yun, pinaikli na nga yun ng 1 hour na episode. Pinaikli mo na ng 30 seconds, pero yung 3 seconds nun, kailangan mo pang mahuli. So parang talagang gumagapang siya. Yung 3 seconds mahuli mo para mapakinggan na lang yung buong 30 seconds para ma-lead mo sila to 1 hour. So parang ganun talaga no? And again, happy to hear na grabe rin yung efforts ng Rappler to and other media networks din na mas maging malapit sa tao. All while parang maintaining yung integrity ng reporting. No? So ako naman, Pia, going back lang sa experience mo as a journalist, you've seen the worst of politics, yet you're still doing the work. Saan ka nakakahugot ng pag-asa?
May mga small nuggets of joy that make up for all of the shit. Alam mo natin yun, di ba? Yung parang, ito na lang, parang crumb, pero napaka-shining niya and bright. Na hindi mo siya ma-let go kasi you're expecting na, one of these days, I'll get another crumb of hope. So, medyo sad. Pero yun yung, ganyan yung world namin na parang may mga points of hope lang. Kunwari, yung mga stories namin na nagka-impact talaga. yung coverage namin on the prime water issue plaguing so many cities, right? So many Filipinos naghihintay sa isang gripo na walang lumalabas na tubig, nabayad pa rin ng laki-laking water bill sa prime water. So, hindi naman kami yung only newsroom reporting that, but I think we can say we really helped amplify that and led to changes in government. Na si Marcos himself announced he would investigate the prime water contracts. So, nagsimula siya sa isang kapihan sa Bulacan, where talagang, actually sa Cavite, yung mga participants namin doon, yung tanong nila sa mga candidates na in-invite namin, anong gagawin niyo about prime water, ganyan. In-amplify namin yun. Sa Bulacan din, nagkakapihan kami. The vice governor and the governor themselves voiced how they were so angry at prime water service. At hanggang nag-snowball, meron kaming investigative report na nanggaling din sa pagtatanong sa mga citizens ng Bulacan. Yun, so all of those efforts, the events, amplifying voters' issues, the investigative report from our reporter digging through the contracts, yun yung mga parang mining the fine print of those contracts led to something like change, at least attention, di ba? Meron din kaming story before na binisita namin lahat ng train station sa Metro Manila. So, and chinek namin gaano ba ka-accessible yung train stations na yun for persons with disabilities. And nakita namin na 80% of train stations in Metro Manila are not accessible for persons with disabilities. And napunta pa yun sa budget hearing ng DOTR. Tinanong talaga yung Transportation Department, bakit ganito yung report ng Rappler? Anong ginagawa niyo about the train stations? Until in-invite na kami ng DOTR sa meeting with the train consultants. Nag-invite kami ng mga persons with disabilities na in-interview namin for that story para they join the meeting with the government and the companies building the train stations. Tapos nagka-third meeting pa with yung actual companies running the train stations, yung LRT1, diba, LRT2, MRT3, and that led to real changes. Parang talagang tinanggal yung sign na pangit or naglagay sila ng ramp, railing, kasi rin-report namin na wala. So at least somehow, it changed something. So, yung mga ganong points of hope na crumbs of hope and light, we cling to in the worst of times. And siguro yung other side of the coin is the joy in the craft. Kasi there's something magical about telling someone's story, seeing them read it, and know that they're heard, and na-reflect sa greater public yung kanilang kwento, yung kanilang pinagdadaanan. And maybe that story can even change that thing for them, na we could have moved the needle a little bit. So that magic lang na words can lead to something, can lead to change. May craft kasi that goes into it. And it's the love of the craft, the doing, yung being able to write a story in just 30 minutes kasi grabe, you wrote the story in your head, lumalabas lang siya, parang divine, parang divinity in a way. Wow, parang, sino nagsusulat ako ba? Kasi parang napaka-natural niya, yung that joy of creation. So, I think those two things. The impact you do, sometimes, and then the joy of the doing. Kasi the craft is so fun. Ang saya magsulat, ang saya gumawa ng bagay.
Grabe, no? Ang dami natin pinag-usapang hindi okay. Pero ramdam na ramdam ko yung kung bakit ka nandyan pa rin.
Ay, wow.
Totoo. Gets ko na.
Na-communicate.
Wow, grabe. May opening ba kayo sa Rappler? Pero nakakatuwa, Pia, na parang mapait yung yung mga naranasan mo pero parang nangingibabaw pa rin yung mukhang yung gets mo kung bakit mo ginagawa yung ginagawa mo. No? And yun nga, yung sinasabi mong nuggets of hope, no? Feeling ko mas ramdam na ramdam mo yun compared sa mga dinaanan mong hindi okay. Na parang mas hawak na hawak mo yun na kaya madaling gawin ulit yung ginagawa mo susunod na araw. Dahil harapan mo ring nakikita yung effect niya no? So yung sa prime water pala, wow, sa report nyo pala yun. No? Kanina ko lang pa iniisip kung paano kayo nakapagkape kung walang tubig.
Hindi kami meron.
Kasi sabi niyo, nagkapihan kayo
Sa Bulacan.
Sa Bulacan.
Actually, yung interview namin na yun, yung banyo walang tubig.
Ay, ayun.
So parang, nag-sorry pa sila, na sorry, wala po kami kasi prime water nga po. So, Yun. Ay, nag-order lang kami ng kape nun
Order
eh.
na lang. Buti. Kaysa doon kayo tinimplahan ng kape. Wala talaga. Pero yun, parang laki, doon ko lang din na-realize, laki talaga ang laki-laki ng role at papel na ginagawa nyo. No? Kahit gaano kahirap. I think, yun din yung hindi, wala nang time yung mga tao to realize yung work na ginagawa nyo. And the thing is, hindi nyo rin kasi hinahanap eh. Hindi nyo hinahanap yung recognition na yun. Hindi yun yung reason why you're doing it. At nabanggit mo na kung bakit mo siya ginagawa. So maganda rin tong baliktad naman na ikaw ang na-interview, no? Para rin you're able
Weird
to
siya.
share.
Sobrang weird siya.
You're able to share kung ano yung mo. Yung tumatakbo rin sa isip mo. And para mas maintindihan ka rin ng mga tao. And the good thing is, listener natin si Harry Roque at saka mga
Ay, talaga?
yung
Hi,
mga
sir.
supporters ng previous administration, mga listeners natin yan.
Hello, shout out.
Shoutout sa inyo. Pasensya na kung kanina pa namin kayo pinag-uusapan na. Anyway. Pero yun, for those listening, no, lalo na yung mga feeling helpless and disillusioned, no. Sa tingin mo, what can Filipinos do sa mga nangyayari ngayon? Parang, kasi parang kaming mga nagko-consume ng balita, everyday rin namin yan nakikita. No? Pero ikaw, mas upfront kayo. Mas close kayo, mas detalyado yung mga alam nyo. No? And kayo pa yung mga yun nga parang weird na ikaw yung pinaka nakakita nung dilim. Pero the way you're explaining your work ay ang
Baka
liwanag.
selective memory lang din.
Tama, piling-pili
Survival
lang.
instinct, right? Yun
Huwag na yung iba. Oo, iwan na yan.
Nakalimutan ko na
Ba't
actually.
mo babalikan yan? Pero yun, sa mga nakikinig, para sa perspective mo sa journalist, ano sa tingin mo yung sa tingin mo yung pwedeng gawin ng mga Pilipino sa situation natin?
Kung isa-sum up ko siya in one word, the word would be participate. Kasi alam ko mas madaling mag-focus lang sa day-to-day life natin, yung ating personal life, 'di ba? Parang work, go home, eat, 'di ba? Sleep and rewind, parang do it over again. Pero I feel na kulang tayo, maybe because of the pandemic, maybe because of social media and the internet, yung feeling of being part of a greater collective and that we can play a role in that collective. Di ko nawawala yung sense of nationhood natin. Kasi nga, grabe yung divisions nung Duterte admin, and even before then, and even until now, parang feel natin we can afford to stay in our little bubbles, and it's fine. Hindi tayo affected. But alam natin na, hindi, apektado tayo. And maybe may argument dyan na, hindi, yung mga mayayaman lang yung may time mag-participate, yung may resources para, pumunta sa mga events or makialam. But, feel ko hindi totoo yun eh. And yun yung narrative actually that actually makes ordinary citizens feel numb and like they can't do anything. Actually, wala na akong time for that. Wala akong time to be an active citizen. Focus na ako sa parang day-to-day, di ba, parang running after that paycheck, feeding my children. Pero feel ko, everyone can contribute from where they are. You don't have to be a millionaire or someone with means or parang, di ba, parang to do something. Yung simple act of makikialam ka lang. Nakikinig ka ng balita, feel ko participation na yun eh. Kasi it's you caring for what happens to this country to the point that you would listen in and find out more. Diba? Ano yung nangyayari sa budget process? Parang, ano ba itong impeachment trial? Paano ba ako affected dito? Or corrupt ba yung ganyang person? Yung mga questions na yan, they're more than rumors and chika-chika and diba? Parang, may effect yan sa pang-araw-araw mo. Taxation, diba? Yung education crisis, may effect din sa bata mo, 'di ba? Sa next generation ng Filipinos. So, the simple act of reading the news for me, yun yung where at the very least, 'di ba? Parang that's one way of being an active citizen. Kasi once parang alam mo yung nangyayari, parang mas may feeling ka na ito nangyayari, may investment ka sa saga na yun eh. So, baka parang yun yung baby step, yung next step, baka pumunta ka na sa isang event kung saan pinag-uusapan si ganyan or makikinig ka na sa mga Senate hearing kasi galit na galit ka sa nangyayari. So, yun yung first step to kindling that fire of parang being a Filipino and what do you dream of for yourself as a Filipino, yung aspirations natin as a country. Kasi once you start caring about that future, participating will come naturally.
kung may dream headline ka about the Philippines in 5 to 10 years, what would it be?
Wow. Oh my gosh. 5 to 10 years? 5 years? Ang lapit na nun. Naku, ano bang possible? Or anything, kahit
Anything.
crazy.
Mm.
Philippines, reduced poverty incidence or poverty rate to 0%. Kung pwede mangarap lang. Like, wala nang poor sa Pilipinas.
Mm.
Or ano ba, parang ano bang pwedeng headline sa corruption? Yung ano na, parang everything works.
Mm.
Lahat ng infrastructure, people-centric, hindi na tayo car-centric country, pero mas, 'di ba, mas favorable to commuters kasi yun naman yung karamihan ng tao, 'di ba, commuter. Hindi naman tayo lahat car owner. Yung yan yun lang, parang more makatao na government. Parang mabuting pamamahala talaga.
Mabuting pamamahala.
Yeah!
Yan ang key talaga, no? I think na once magkaroon lang tayo ng ganong klaseng government. And napakahalaga ng sinabi mo na participate. No? So, participative governance, no? So, if mabuting pamamahala paired with active citizens, yung dream headline mo na yan, kaya natin.
Tsaka, active citizens are necessary for mabuting pamamahala. Kasi kung active citizen ka, vigilant ka kung sino yung, anong ginagawa ng leaders mo. So, they come hand in hand. You can't have one without the other.
Ganda. Mabuting pamamahala. Kailangan may mabuting pamayanan din tayo. Ginagamit pa ba yung pamayanan? Community, no? Parang araling panlipunan, eh, no? Pang
Pero high
AP book.
school ba?
Pamayanan. Ang ganda. No, pero Pia, grabe. Ang saya naman itong usap natin. From Linya-Linya lang, maraming salamat, no? Pero before we end, no, meron ka bang any last na statement lang or words sa listeners natin for aspiring journalists, no, especially the young, the disheartened, and those who want to keep fighting the good fight?
I think journalism needs you. Journalism needs new blood, new perspectives, and yung generation nyo, I think your generation kasi na mas hopeful, but hope na may teeth. Alam mo yun, yung parang hope na may agency. Like, ito yung generation, like yung mga Gen Z, yung mga nasa still in school now, parang ito yung climate anxious generation, yung generation faced by so many calamities. Ito nga ang Trump na nangyayari, diba? Parang daming problema. Kaya journalism needs fresh perspectives all the more. Kasi influx din yung journalism ngayon eh. Yung news industry natin, hindi na siya katulad ng dati na the way it sustains itself. Nag-iiba na rin yung financial models behind newsrooms, and the way newsrooms and news is consumed, iba na rin. So we really need more young people to be journalists. Because I think it will also make journalism more relevant to readers. So, keep up the fight. Huwag kayo mag-give up kasi ang daming depressing headlines. Think of it as you're essentialized na, isn't it, journalism is most needed when times are dire. So, you're needed.
Hi, sana all needed, ano?
Yun yung next shirt.
Ang gandang shirt, eh. Yun pa yung takeaway, ano? Pero, follow Rappler, no? Share Rappler, read Rappler. At gusto ko magpasalamat sa buong Rappler team sa fight na ginagawa nyo despite lahat ng mga pinagdaanan ng grupo nyo. Pero isa pa rin kayo talaga sa nagbibit-bit nung laban, no? Para may umabot pa rin ng katotohanan sa mga Pilipino, no? So salamat sa ginagawa nyo, Rappler. At saka sa mga journalists natin na syempre unsung heroes, parang hindi naman napag-uusapan. Sila yung nasa likod ng mga balita at umaabot sa atin yung mga balita na to dahil sa trabahong ginagawa nila, no? Kaya sabi nga ni Pia, quiet stories, no? Nandyan kayo sa laban na. Kaya salamat sa ginagawa nyo. And syempre gusto ko rin mag-shoutout at magpasalamat sa sponsor natin na Patek Philippe and Seiko and Prime Water. Na yan ang ating mga top sponsors for this episode. Patay! Nirelo ko. Ay, hindi ko suot yung relo ko. Lagat. Hindi, pero ayun, no, sana okay naman sana share nyo tong episode na to. Syempre, follow nyo rin ang Linya-Linya Show. Ang Linya-Linya, marami kaming nilabas na mga bagong products, no, sa linyalinya.ph. Follow nyo yung page namin Everyday kami nagre-release ng content. And abangan nyo yung mga collaborations namin. Nasa paligid lang yan yung mga collaborator namin. So, tignan natin. Abangan nyo.
Let's go.
Ang dami nating... and nakakatuwa, Pia, ang daming, masaya kami sa linya-linya na para kaming, kaibigan ng iba't ibang grupo na parang pinagkakatiwalaan kami din with their advocacies, alam mo yun, and nakakatulong kami bilang kaibigan or bilang kasama na dreaming din dun sa mga headlines na gusto mo, na magawa rin namin yung part namin or may magawa kami kahit papano sa space na ginagalawa namin para maabot naman natin yung dreams natin for this country. Kaya,
Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Linya Linya.
Ayun. Thank you, Pia. Thank you, Rappler. At salamat. Kita-kits. Feeling ko magkikita pa tayo.
Yeah.
Feeling ko marami pang mangyayari.
May sasawa ka sa mukha na.
Yun, thank you guys. Ingat kayong lahat. Bye-bye.
The opinions of podcast creators, hosts, and guests are not necessarily reflective of the official stance of the Pod Network Entertainment, its hosts, or other network programs. The content created by the people behind the podcast is personal and not meant to harm any religion, ethnicity, group, organization, company, or individual.